And we just read our first letter. It's a very long letter. It's a mouthful of words. And I really hope my sisters help with their submissions because it was a lot. It was a lot. But anyway, if you're just joining us, this is Sister right here. And remember that this show is sponsored by Gino for all your favorite stews, gravy, soups. You know, it's only Gino that can give you that exquisite, delicious taste. So thank you, Gino, for making this possible. Now it's time for us to get into our second story. All right, so our second letter. Dear sisters, I've been married for 10 years with 3 children. My husband is a pilot and he shuttles the UK and Ghana because of his work. My husband just visited and I went through his phone and found out that he had a side chick who is pregnant. Pregnancy is not the issue here. The side chick is threatening my husband to send her abroad because he usually sends the kids and me for holidays abroad. She says if he refuses her request, she will tell me about the pregnancy and my husband is trying to calm her down because he doesn't want me to know he has a girlfriend. The truth is that the baby doesn't belong to my husband. How do I know this? Yes. How do you know this, madam? My husband can father a child, but he doesn't.
Oh my goodness.
But he doesn't know. Okay. So after 2 years of marriage, there was no sign of pregnancy. He went for tests, and that's where I found out that he was shooting blanks. Empty.
He went for tests.
Yes.
The husband went for tests.
Yes.
But
So does the
didn't
husband
go-
We
know?
went for tests. We
Okay.
went for tests,
But
and that's
didn't
where
he
I
get
found
to
out
know?
that he was shooting blanks.
But didn't he get to know?
I knew that the news would break him, so I begged the doctor, who was my friend, that he shouldn't tell him the truth. I'm not proud about this, but I started cheating with my side boo, who doubles as my ex. Hence, the 3 children belong to him. Now back to the issue. This side chick is trying to give another man's pregnancy to my husband. I want to put her in her place without implicating myself. If I keep quiet, she will drain my husband. How do I handle this? I need tactical advice on how to handle this situation. Her name is here, but I will not call her name because I don't want to put her into trouble, but she's from Koforidua.
I think Bruce needs to give us another round of drinks because the first one we drank to it, but this one I think we need to go everything down.
Like, what did I just read?
The things
I like the
women are-
confidence. I like the
The
confidence.
things women are capable of doing sometimes just shocks even me that I'm a woman.
She's the culprit.
So hold on. So she's married. She has 3 children from a 10-year married. So
10-year
she's kept
marriage.
this. She's kept this for like 8 years.
And she's known all this while that her husband has
So
been
the
shooting.
husband has been shooting
Blanks.
blanks. And I'm sure that's why he's not worried that he's the pilot. It doesn't matter what he does. Okay. So, since the girl sent it in,
She said, please help her find tactical advice. You people
Okay.
give her tactical advice.
now before I give her the tactical advice, which I can, try.
She didn't do well at all.
But Jagba, try. Because, you see, this is like marrying a man for 10 years and realizing that the man had a separate family aside your family, like going parallel, and you had no knowledge about it. And you just woke up and found out that your husband had 3 children on the side. The way you feel is exactly how you'd feel if you had to find out.
So does her ex know that those children are his?
Yes. And then number 2, of all the people you could cheat, when you want to do things like this, sometimes it's even better
Use a
if
new
you
person.
use an anonymous donor. You go to a sperm bank and say, I want to get pregnant. Look for specs so that at least your husband doesn't feel like he cheated.
I beg to differ. but
Let me
let's
finish.
go.
And then more so, you go and have it with somebody like an ex See, as for this issue of exes, it bothers me because an ex is an ex for a reason. Even if you want to do with somebody, it shouldn't be an ex. I don't mind if you, I'm not saying I don't mind, but I'm saying that I would rather you go and look for somebody as opposed to going with an ex. And sometimes to these exes, if they know, they can picture. And sometimes the way God does his things, you realize that the children, the day that the ex will walk into the house, the husband will see that, what down for your semicolon back. You know, so, you know, seriously, the way it works. So it's possible that she's been hiding the eggs from their home and everything. But if truly the man was supposed to stand there, you see at least 2 or 3 of the children will look exactly like the man, bare features, and there'll be confusion. Now you have done the whole thing. You have done, this is it. The woman is threatening your husband that if your husband doesn't take him abroad, he will come and tell you. So this is what you do. Let your husband know. This is bad advice, but let your husband know that you have found out that he has impregnated somebody from outside. And you are okay with it. Just that when the child is born, just to be sure, you want him to do a DNA test for the child before accepting responsibility for the child. Knowing fully well
he will decide to do DNA for all his children.
No. He can decide because, listen, just tell the man that, look, you can even decide to throw a few tantrums here and there. But bottom line is, I'm surprised, I'm shocked. How could you? It doesn't matter. Marriage is for my better for worse, so I'll forgive you. But this child should never happen again. This one, let's do DNA tests. If the child comes, I'll support you to take care of the woman. When the child comes, because this woman is not your wife. You go up and down, you don't know what she's doing. So just make sure that this child that you're going to foster out of your marriage
and bring
is
the
yours.
home. Yes.
If it's truly yours, bring the child home. We'll take care of the child. That is how to circumvent it. But I'm so ashamed to give you this advice because it means that I'm condoning the lie. Now, this is the one to cover your backside like the way you want us to do. But the real thing to do will be to come clean with your husband. It's going to be difficult. But you see, there are some lies. When they begin to hunt you, they hunt you to the very core of your being.
Yeah.
And it's better that your husband finds out from you tactfully, you manage the situation, as opposed to him finding out because maybe in the process of going to find out the DNA and cancer, no, how come I should have found that? Maybe he will now also go and do some independent tests. And when he finds out one way or the other, and he has to come and confront you to find out that you had been lying to him all this while, the repercussions will be more dire. So I'm thinking that I've given you the advice to cover it up. You can do that. And you can save your backside for the next
couple of years,
hoping that no situation will present itself for your husband to feel a need to do a DNA. It could be as simple as a blood test because the husband needs to give something to the child. You are not compatible, so the husband has to be compatible, and he's also not compatible. And then the news will come out at the wrong time, in the wrong way, by the wrong people, landed on wrong ears at the time. So it's 2 things. You can decide to live a lie and do what I told you, or you can decide to take the hard road and tell your husband the truth. But in doing that, please note that you may lose your husband, your kids may lose their father. So if you're not financially stable, you can't be independent, you start looking at those options too. And, put everything into perspective and decide what to do. But in case you want to continue living the lie, this is my suggestion.
All right, Sisha.
Okay. I will jump to something my sister said before I proceed to my actual help in terms of what she can do. I think some of the best people in situations like this have something to do with to produce children out of maybe your exes. Reason being, they are people you know very well in terms of you've dealt with. You didn't agree or decide to date them for no reason. There were things and traits about them that drew you to them. So most likely, they like for me, for example, I'm a very sapiosexual person. And so a man needs to be highly intelligent for me to even be attracted to you in any way, shape, or form. And so that means that the likelihood that you will not have children who are, unintelligent, for lack of a better word, may be lower compared to you just dating random men. But that being said, because if you go to a sperm bank, you don't know who this human is. He could have mental issues. He could be anything. He could have diabetes in his blood. He could have so many things.
All those things are documented.
Well, but the risk is higher. For the fact he could have attitudinal issues, which sometimes these traits go on into your children.
Genetic issues.
Yes. So I think it's best to have some of these things with people you've been with before and can attest to some of their behaviors and traits. Now, that being said, this woman is a very unfortunate woman, but the harm has already been done. We need to find a way to resolve the issue. An auntie of mine who is no longer alive used to always say, there are situations in life that only you and your handbag should be aware of. Whatever happens out of that situation, you must take it to your grave. And there have been times in my life where I have found that advice to be one of the wisest thing anybody has told me, because sometimes there is no one truly that you can trust with an issue that you are dealing with. And this might be one of those issues. It depends whether the ex in question knows that these kids are his or not. I hope she didn't go to the extent of making that aware for this ex, because the ex knows that she's married. So and the ex doesn't know that your husband is shooting blanks. So the likelihood that your husband is the one who impregnated, even though you are also having sex with me, is very high. Now, that being said, I think, just like my sister said, she should tell the husband that this is what she has found, and this is what she expects of him to go and tell this lady. She wants to be in the know that he has told the lady that if she insists on having the child, he's going to support her to do that. But the moment that child drops, they will have a DNA. Now, most likely, this woman, if she knows that that's not the father of the baby she's carrying, might opt for an abortion or opt for something else. Or maybe,
Then give the child to the father, the real father.
Exactly.
Or confess that there's no pregnancy.
Exactly. And then she'll be saved. I am hoping that girl will do that, and then her marriage is safe. Now, if that happens, then she would have to find other tactical ways to maintain her marriage without necessarily divulging this information, because the reason why she did it in the first place was to protect her husband's ego and her husband's pride. So coming out with it now, you would still lose, and then the risk of even losing the marriage and the children losing their dad is higher now, because the kids are involved. 3, not even 1. And so that's it. She may have to take this to her grave. I think we don't say that enough, that certain things just have to go with you to your grave for the purposes and for the peace of everybody involved. However, recently, one actress that I love very much, who was in a show called Scandal, Kerry Washington, she has written a book, and she was being interviewed by one of my favorite podcasters. He's called Jay Shetty. And in the interview, in the interview, she was speaking about how when she got older, she was in her 40s when her parents called her and spoke to her that her father is not her father. Her father was also shooting blanks, I think. And so the both parents opted to go for a sperm donor to have her as a baby. So she's actually now looking for her real dad, to also have some sort of a relationship with her. So if you decide to go the proper way, which is coming out clean and telling the truth, one, you may want to have your kids grow up a bit. Let's say they are in their 20s. That way, if the man decides to leave, chances are the kids are old enough to probably be able to take care of themselves or support you to take care of them. It is a perfect place to tell such truths in instances like this.
Yeah.
However, if that's not the case and you still want to go the proper way to tell the truth, the best thing to do is probably involve some men of God, some counselors, etc., so that you are not sitting alone telling this truth, so that he is prepped. It's like when you have an AIDS test and your result is positive, they take you through counseling before they come and break the news to you that, you have this. I think something like that should be done to prep him properly, to psychologically place him in the right mind frame to receive such an information. So that way, even when he's thinking about his options as to what to do, he will think rightly about them. Because sometimes when you're not properly prepped for such information and it drops on your lap just like that, you may deal with it wrongly. So that's where I stand.
All right,
on the
so
issue.
my heroes, what do you think?
I'm even sweating. It's not that straightforward.
Yeah.
I think we've heard Rosie and Sicho's view. And as they talked and I listened, yes, I have my views, I have my beliefs, but sometimes you have to apply your heart to wisdom.
Yeah.
What is wise to do at this time? Okay, so now you are the married woman, properly married. You are the wife of the man. So you need to protect your home. Irrespective of the fact that you have abused this marriage or this home that you had yourself. And probably that is why you are, if your husband has been even been taken by somebody else in that way. Yes. The other question I'm also asking is that, like PCOS has treatment, infertility in men also have treatment. So how can you really tell? Is she saying that because those days she did that test and the husband was shooting blanks, he's still shooting blanks?
Exactly.
I know people who are, yes, I know people who have gone for tests and they were told that they had low sperm count or zero sperm count, but later have gone on treatment and they've had children.
Yeah.
So for all you know, that lady might be carrying the real biological child of your husband.
Oh.
It is a very, very technical thing.
That'll be karma.
Yes. And so if you go and then you try to let them do DNA test to check and see whether it's a child or not, thinking that he's still shooting blanks, maybe, just maybe, it might happen that's the child of the man. So I'd rather say that maybe you have to let him know that, okay, I found this, blah, blah, blah. Let me know about this. I know that you have impregnated somebody. I throw your tantrums, as she said, but just don't ask for DNA and all these technicalities. Because I was saying, what about if he decides, okay, let me do the DNA for all my children? Yeah, because now there are all sorts of things going on. There are situations where people go, they are migrating from this country.
So
it's
I
very
guess it's
difficult.
the same thing like women being in the house and a man brings a child from outside and says,
That's what I'm saying. It's similar to this. It's very similar.
Oh, sorry, I played away match and this is the child. Please take care of him for me. So as you're taking, you can do it too.
It's not a ticket as such, but with her situation, because she herself, she has, like Sicho said, if you are coming clean, then you have to involve other people because it's a big thing.
It's a big thing to swallow.
You have to see your pastor or your priest or whatever, get a counselor and talk about it, because it's not only your husband, it's your husband's family. Their aunties, their uncles, their grandparents.
The children involved.
The children involved. There's so many people involved.
His friends, how are they going to see him?
Yes. So how you even manage it and parcel it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can do it with your husband alone and keep your thing between you. And nobody else will know. But if you are not lucky and then it blows in your face, it's disaster for the rest of the life of the children.
Well, I think I agree with that.
So
that is actually very disastrous.
Yeah, very disastrous.
This is a very complex situation, especially for the fact that we have to now advise on what to do.
Yeah.
But then on that note, let's take a quick break. But before we go on a break, I'd like to say thank you, sisters.
Thank you, too.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Sister, and it's not been easy.
Yeah.
These letters
Yeah.
today have not been easy, but then I'm glad that we all, had something to contribute to it. I'm sure if he's watching, she's watching, she can actually take one or two out of it. But let's take a quick break, and when we come back, I'll be sharing my final thoughts, okay? Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Sister right here on City TV. And if you're listening, it's 97.3 City FM. So, as you know, we have read 2 letters, and the sisters have, shared their thoughts on the letters, and now it's time for me to share my thought on the letter. So my thought on the first letter, which is about the anonymous young man who has a wife that is dealing with PCOS, and they have a sickling child, and the marriage isn't working that great because of all the things they're going through, even her being rude. First of all, I'd like to say it's very important that you remember, like the sisters have said, or you note that someone can test their genotype today, which is many years ago, and retest again after some years have gone by, and realize that, okay, what they're telling me today isn't what it was yesterday. And that is because, things have improved. Testing systems have improved, machines have changed, and all that. And that is not her fault. If she thought she was AA before and now realizing that she is AC, I don't think you should fault her or blame her entirely, because obviously things have become more innovative. Now we're getting accurate tests, and people are realizing that, oh, I was not what I was tested some years ago. So I wouldn't fault her on that, and I wouldn't blame her on that. But for the issue of, not wanting to have sex with you, and you mentioned that she has PCOS. Low sex drive is one of the symptoms of PCOS. She might not be acting out of wickedness or not wanting you. It's just that sometimes that can be happening because of the condition that she's going through, coupled with the stress of, taking care of a sickling child, coupled with the stress of maybe her not being able to be the wife she wants to be for you. And when I'm talking, and when I say that, I mean the hormones going up and down, even just with our periods alone. Our hormones are up and down. We act strangely. This week, a woman will be smiling with you. Another week, she's angry. Another minute, she's happy. Like, you cannot understand women. And it's that one, it's normal. And that's just because our hormones are, up and down most of the time. So for someone that has PCOS, they feel a lot of things at the same time. Okay? All right? The sister said a lot, but for me, the most important ones I will just add is you need to understand PCOS for you to understand some of the way she is acting. You also need to understand that. And now when it comes to the second letter, I don't know how to advise the lady. I really don't know how to advise the lady, especially knowing the fact that she kept it a secret that the 3 children that she has are not for her husband. All I can say is prepare for your worst. Prepare for the worst. Yes, you can reach out to the side chick. You can call her up. You can let her know that, look, I know that you are pregnant for my husband. And if she's really not carrying the child of your husband, she knows what to do. She would definitely be scared that now I know. Because the whole thing is, I will tell your wife if you don't let me travel abroad that I'm pregnant. So if you reach out to her, then there is nothing to threaten the husband about. There will be nothing to hold the husband, in that situation of fear. No. So I just think, one, reach out to the girl and let her know, hi girl, what's up? I know you're pregnant for my husband. Now what? Do your worst. So if she's really pregnant for him, then you will know that, okay, things have gotten out south, and that's when you have to apply step 2, which is plan for your worst, because anything can happen and your cover will blow open. Wow, so many twists and turns of and complexities when it comes to relationships. And I'm glad that we actually have this show to, talk about it, reflect on it, and help you find solutions to these problems. And of course, if you want us to keep on doing this, if you want us to keep on bringing this show for you, please support us by subscribing, turning on your notifications, commenting, sharing, and tell your friends to tell a friend that Sister is right here on YouTube. Thank you so much, and see you next week.